I also have even more good news, everyone. So I was able to get official Lion Country to translate the video clip for us. And it looks like my original theory that I made before, that they were referring to multiple lions in the video, was correct. Let's take a look at this. So it says here that they were referring to the lion faction in the video. So they weren't talking about one lion in this video, and they also weren't talking about one tiger either. Rather, they were referring to the tiger group versus the lion group. It is reasonable to infer that the tigers may have been responsible for the nose injury on the lion. The sequence of events showing a tiger defeating a lion, followed by them showing a bunch of scattered lions after the battle, with one of the lions being panned over showing injuries, strongly suggests that the tigers were responsible for the lion's injuries in the battle. It then goes on to say here that the video might be showing the aftermath of the battle with various lions, with some of the lions sustaining injuries while others did not. It then goes on to say here, the context you have provided suggests that they are likely discussing groups of tigers and lions as a whole, rather than individual animals. It then goes on to say here, thank you for the clarification. It is now clear that the lion shown in the battle scene is different from the lion shown with a nose injury. Given this context, it is implied that the tigers defeated both of the lions shown in the video. I then went on to ask the question, is this the most likely scenario? Yes, based on the context you've provided. It is reasonable to conclude that the most likely scenario is that the tigers defeated both lions shown in the video, with the battle scene featuring one lion defeated and the lion with the nose injury likely being another lion defeated by the tigers on a separate encounter. I went to go on and show ChatGPT the dongaa.com article talking about the incident that we were reviewing in this video. In the dongaa.com article, it says 16 Strong smashed ID and Techno the lion whenever they had a chance. He also went to battle with another lion named Cuckoo. This is what ChatGPT had to say about it. Yes, the additional information from the news article strongly supports the idea that the two lions shown in the video are likely 2 out of the 3 lions that the tiger fought during that season. It provides specific names of the lions involved in the encounters and mentions that the tiger defeated multiple lions, including ID and Techno. This information aligns with the video content, indicating that the tiger battled and defeated lions named ID and Techno, which were likely the same lions shown in the video. I also found another interesting piece of information as well. So it turns out actually this scene here that we got translated wasn't actually the entire storyline of the events taking place, but rather the narrator in the video was actually describing it like a teaser trailer. So in other words, what they said in the video was not the entire storyline. There was more to the storyline than what was stated in the video. Alright guys, now let's actually review his video clip here. Let's see what he says here.
Take on ChatGPT. I asked, does closing your eyes when getting hit via punch automatically means you're disoriented? And look at what it says. Closing your eyes when getting hit, such as a punch, does not automatically mean you're disoriented. However, it can be a natural and instinctive reaction for some people to close their eyes when they anticipate or experience pain or impact.
I love how you conveniently skipped over probably the most important part of my first video, and also what my subscribers have mentioned previously in the community tab. That being, what did the lion look like in the video clip? Let's go ask ChatGPT what it thinks about this video clip and whether or not it's disorientated or not. Hello, ChatGPT. If a lion moves slowly after being hit with strikes, he kept his eyes closed intermittently throughout the strike session and also missed his target. Is this a sign of disorientation? Yes. If a lion is moving slowly, keeping his eyes intermittently closed, and missing his target, these are all concerning signs that could indicate disorientation, injury, or some other type of medical issue. It then goes on to say here that disorientation is one of the most likely causes for this issue, as well as some other type of trauma. And don't forget to remember, guys, that lion missed his target before falling. And even when we factor in slight elevation difference, the lion only would have managed to have hit the tiger's arm. Hardly anything to write home about. He then later used my court case example that I used in my previous video without acknowledging what the whole point of the whole example was. It is to determine right from wrong and good or bad traits. Not having a good attention span or being clumsy, which is what we showed in the video, isn't a good quality, which is the whole point of the example. I used court case examples to show it is deemed to be a bad quality to possess, which it is. Let's go see what ChatGPT says here about this. Is having a bad attention span and slow reflexes and being clumsy a bad quality to have, regardless of the species in question? Having a bad attention span, slow reflexes, and being clumsy can be considered disadvantageous for individuals of any species, including humans and animals. It then goes on to say here, if one species on average has better reflexes than the other, especially in a fight, that would put them at an advantage, correct? Yes. If one species on average has better reflexes, particularly in a fight or combat situation, it can provide them with a significant advantage in such a situation. It then goes on to say here, so then using a court case example would be an appropriate example to highlight that bad reflexes and being clumsy is disadvantageous regardless of species. Yes, using a court case example can appropriately highlight that bad reflexes and being clumsy can be disadvantageous regardless of species. So it looks like, according to ChatGPT, it says that my example actually was appropriate. Let's see what is the next thing he says.
Was involving the boxing match, right? I will replay it again because apparently he didn't see that possibly. I don't know if he's blind, but this is a really good example as I showed you.
Sorry, Lion Country, but unfortunately, this isn't a good example either, just like your dumb water example, right? Because this boxer here is not receiving multiple punches. He's only receiving one punch. And also, he didn't keep his eyes closed intermittently while receiving multiple hits. He only closed his eyes temporarily, and then he opened them back up again. It's a totally different situation. All right, now let's move over to his question regarding the fight scene to ChatGPT.
1.5 interaction being a fight. Now I asked ChatGPT again, what does it think about this interaction, right? I asked, what do you call an interaction with one individual attacking the other while the other doesn't put up much of a fight? Here's what ChatGPT had to say. An interaction where one individual attacks another while the other doesn't put up much of a fight could be described as an assault or a one-sided altercation.
Sorry, Lion Country, but unfortunately, after asking ChatGPT the question, was this a vague question you asked? It turns out here, yes, the question that you asked is somewhat vague because it lacks specific details about the nature of the interaction. So unfortunately, you didn't ask it a proper question. I, on the other hand, did ask it a proper question. If a lion approached a tiger with what appears to be hostile intent, the tiger strikes at the lion first, multiple times. Then the lion tried to hit back, but missed. Is this considered a fight, regardless of time span? Oh, see, and look at that, everyone. Even better. So the fact the lion didn't put up much of a fight is irrelevant? Yes. We'll see, look, even again. So the lion doesn't even need to be hostile for it to be considered a fight either. Is it an assault? No. And don't forget, everyone, that lion came in with hostile intent. He was walking directly at the tiger. He wasn't just casually walking by him. He was walking directly in his direction, right at him. Very obviously with hostile intent. Kind of like this line here in this video example. In no lion country, that lion does not want to mate with a male tiger. And no, they don't need to show any signs of hostility either.
Still hellbent on the fact that he said have not made contact yet. Now I said this to one of his subscribers, right? I said I was fully aware that he said yet at first, but at the ending of the actual claim, right? He and the way how he was talking about the strikes actually making contact, and then at the end, then he literally said that I mentioned in my video, which is misleading people. He said that I mentioned that the tiger did not quite make contact. That is misleading people. I did not say anything about not quite
Blah,
making
blah,
contact.
blah,
I said
blah,
no.
blah, 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 blah. Let's go ask ChatGPT this question here. Hello, ChatGPT. If you quote someone at first saying they stated they did not make contact yet, then later form another sentence saying did not make contact as they previously mentioned, be used interchangeably. Uh-oh. I bet you didn't see that one coming, did ya? You see here, this is the problem. This is what Lion Country failed to acknowledge. I did not use only one of these sentences. I used both of them. And because I mentioned the first sentence first, that is interchangeable with the second one.
So the first strike, which you were very specific about, right? That's the first strike. So this would be the second strike. Then, clearly, after that now, this is the third strike.
Wrong again, Lion Country. As he previously did before, he conveniently skipped over what I said in my last video about strikes and hits having different meanings. Let's go see what ChatGPT says about it. Can a strike consist of multiple hits, and are hits and a strike the same thing always? A strike and hit can have different meanings. In summary, a strike can consist of multiple hits. So, unfortunately, Lion Country, you are wrong. This is not necessarily the third strike. This would be the third hit, but not necessarily the third strike. If a tiger makes two singular hits onto a lion, then proceeds to make a combo hit involving both paws at the same time. Seeing that a strike can refer to multiple hits, can you refer to the first two hits as the first strike, then refer to the combo hit at the end, which differed from the others, as the second strike? And look at this here, guys. It gets even better. So this type of terminology is only a problem for little kids and people who don't even know what alternative language even means. Alright guys, now let's actually remake my previous video here to show this idiot here what we're talking about here. So in the video, he basically says here that after the tiger delivered its first strike onto the lion, the second strike, he says, did not quite make contact yet with the lion's face. We could then see in this video here that the lion attempts to make a strike on the tiger with his left paw. However, this throws off his balance because his paw is off of the ground, and then he falls to the ground because of it. But for some reason in Lion Country's video, he completely forgets to mention that the entire reason that this happened was because of the first strike that the tiger made onto the lion, which did in fact make contact with the lion. If we replay this in slow motion, we can see here that the first strike onto the lion does in fact make contact with the lion's face. This first strike onto the lion here dazes and disorientates the lion and makes him lose eye contact with the tiger, causing him to not realize what he's doing. Because the lion was dazed and disorientated from the first strike, he couldn't see what he was doing and tried to strike at the tiger. However, because the lion lifted his left foot off of the ground, this changed his balance, putting more weight onto one side, causing him to fall. So, in other words, the entire reason that the lion fell to the ground was because of the first strike that disorientated the lion to begin with. So the fact that the tiger did not quite make contact on the second strike, as Lion Country mentioned in his video, is completely irrelevant. The tiger was the entire reason for why that lion fell to begin with. See? Was that so hard to piece together? And that should have been obvious that I would be referring to it in that matter because of the fact that I never even mentioned the third strike to begin with. The reason why I never mentioned the third strike at all in the video is because I was lumping the first two hits together as one strike and the third hit as the second strike, as you can see elaborated here by ChatGPT. All right, guys, now let's skip over to the very last thing he says here. So this is regarding my statement in one of my review videos regarding a tug of war. Now, he claims that I cannot use the word fight to describe a tug of war. However, unfortunately for you, ChatGPT also disagrees with you as well. Let's go take a look. So in that sense, I can refer to a tug of war as a tug of war first, then proceed to simply refer to it later as a fight under example 3 you provided in a review video, especially if it is visually obvious in the video. Yes, if it is visually obvious in your video that you are using the term fight metaphorically to describe a competitive or challenging aspect of a tug of war, there is no risk of misinterpretation. However, apparently for you though, there still is, because you don't even know what the word metaphorically is, according to ChatGPT. So seeing, guys, how we've basically exposed Lion Country for pretty much proving that he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know how language works. He makes fake debunking videos and posts false information in them. He then proceeds to not edit or delete his videos, even though they contained false information. And no, Lion Country, saying something is not definitive is not a debunking.